Sadists do it because they like it. Some people get their jollies by being rude and obnoxious and causing harm to other people, sometimes serious harm to other people, and it gives them pleasure.
Schadenfreude, a German term taken from the words Schaden, which means damage or to harm, and Freude, which translates as joy. The resulting term reads somewhat as an oxymoron, but it refers to one's experience of pleasure and joy due to witnessing someone else's pain, hardship, or misfortune.
Someone who gets really animated and waves their arms around on camera, preferably, or they'll scream into a microphone on a podcast. They might start crying. They're like an ongoing target. We love that kind of reaction. We want to make them cry. We love to make them cry.
Now, if there's one villain in video games that embodies this term and should probably appear next to the dictionary definition of it, it's Detective Toru Adachi.
I do admit though, I never thought you guys would manage to track me down. I like that. Games like this gotta have surprises or they get boring fast. It's like when I dealt with that Kubo kid. That was fun too. It had been a while since I last put someone inside the TV, so I really got a kick out of that one.
What Detective Adachi is referring to here is the sick pleasure and excitement that he gets from pushing people into TVs. In this case, Mitsuo Kubo, a delusional teenager who commits an imitation murder in hopes of becoming famous. And yes, Adachi was essentially murdering people by pushing them into TVs. In the world of Persona 4, it's possible to cross over into this barren dystopian dimension filled with a dense unlifting fog and hostile shadows that attack humans on sight. Now you can end up here knowingly or unknowingly by traveling through a TV set that's large enough. Where Adachi seizes his satisfaction from is the fact that the people he throws into TVs are usually doomed to be slaughtered by their own malicious shadows.
All I did was put people in here. It's the world that really kills them, isn't it? This world reflects people's thoughts. Which, oh dear, does that mean the real culprits are everyone on the outside, including you?
Now he kind of has a point here, except he fails to mention that all of this is his fault. His actions have led us here. Wielding this godlike power of life and death is fun for him, in a similar manner to how Light from Death Note became sadistic with this kind of power as well. They both really enjoyed putting some people to an early death. Unfortunately, Schadenfreude is a lot more common in society than most people are actively willing to admit. It's not just Toru Adachi. People revel in other people's pain.
The answer to the question of whether we're all potential trolls is delivered by a simple question. Have you ever gossiped negatively about someone else? Because if you have, there's a sense in which you were doing a kind of micro-trolling behavior.
It's not pretty, but science has now proven that putting someone else down can make us feel better about ourselves.
Exactly. A character like Kanji Tatsumi is the perfect example of this. Instead of trying to understand him, it's a lot less taxing to just form assumptions about him based on stories or rumors that you might have heard or witnessed. But don't take my word for it. Listen to these two go on and on about it.
Hey, did you hear about that new freshman student? Yeah, I did, but is it legit? Did he really beat up an entire biker gang? They say it's true. It was one guy versus 100, and I heard he kicked the crap out of him. What's a thug like that doing in our school? He should crawl back to whatever gutter he came from. Huh? Dude.
Kanji even suffers the same kind of treatment from the main cast of characters.
So he's still pulling that crap, huh?
Do you know him, Daddy?
I do. He's been in the station quite a bit. That's Kanji Tatsumi. He's a teenager who loves to fight.
We aren't trying to follow you or anything, nor do I think you might be gay. And if you are, that's totally cool too. I think that's great.
I'd argue that Rize goes through the same kind of thing, except for her it's kind of a halo effect. Sort of the opposite of what Kanji goes through.
Hey, did you hear? It looks like Rise Kujikawa really is But was it really her on yesterday's Midnight Channel? Didn't she seem a little different?
It was her, no doubt about it. Her curves, her posture, even her beautiful slim legs.
But that girl last night wasn't me. I've never been filmed wearing that swimsuit before. And the bust line.
Huh?
Mine aren't that big.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean now. I mean, what am I saying?
Whether you're aware of it or not, the rumors and assumptions about people are a big part of what you fight in the game. In fact, the final boss, a mysterious entity that introduces itself as Ameno Sagari, explains that the Midnight Channel acts like a mirror for the delusions that people want to see.
Midnight Channel, was that phenomenon also your doing?
Humans fail to see things as they truly are. They choose to see only what they wish. I acted only in support of this. A world filled with desires, viewed through a window from which one sees what one wishes to see. Humans departed from reality of their own volition, craving more false images.
A window that shows people what they want to see.
So that's why those who got famous suddenly appeared on the Midnight Channel, one after another. It was all in people's minds.
I have to say, it must be true. The Midnight Channel we saw in Namatame's hospital room, that kept bothering me since. What we saw there wasn't Namatame's true intentions at all.
Then it came on because we were all thinking, this person must be the killer, he can't be forgiven?
We let ourselves be deluded.
Exactly. The more false images one yearns for, the more one stops yearning for reality.
By viewing other people through a lens, we give ourselves a sense of control of our reality. I feel the Midnight Channel is severely under-discussed because we have a similar thing right here in our own reality. We carry around these small windows which can take us into another world, so to speak. Portals to the land of Twitter and the Gram. These magical devices fit sleekly into any reasonable sized pocket or purse. I know the common thing to say here is some sort of boomer statement like, did you know that your phone has more processing power than the computers that sent rockets to the moon? Or some other cliche like that. But it's true, the power to impact lives positively or negatively is literally in our hands. The Midnight Channel, personas, and all of the other weirdness gives us a much needed reminder of the individual and widespread chaos that false images can create, either in the other world or in real life and a place like the internet. The information age we live in can be a cesspool filled with delusions, and it can also be really great. It just depends which side of the coin you want to really be looking at. But the Midnight Channel is a warning that anything you see through a screen might not be an accurate reflection of that same thing in real life. I feel like we need to constantly remind ourselves of this while we have access to such power so easily.
I was bored shitless and wondering what to do next when I discovered this power. A gift for having to put up with this lame job out in Nowheresville, I guess. I did that stuff 'cause I could, and it got interesting, so I watched. Let's be honest, there's nothing great about the real world, is there? It's just dull and annoying as hell. No one accepts that's the way things are. They're just stuck with it because they can't deny it either.
I mean, Adachi says this and then goes and acts in a way that's completely counterintuitive to his own point. What I mean by this is that he has this facade that he wears on the day-to-day, and we finally get a true reflection of what he's actually like here in his final moments.
You want to find the truth without being swayed by the voices of society. But the truth is a sinister thing. It seems like something absolute, yet it exists in everyone's hearts.
Here's a montage on how he really acts on the day-to-day.
Am I allowed to say? Crap, I think I've gone too far. You didn't hear that, okay? Psst, forget I said anything, please. It's like she really disappeared. It's all pretty fishy if you ask me. Like there's something else going on. Ow! Sorry. What did I do to deserve babysitting detail? I mean, it's nothing major. It's not like Dojima-san ordered me here. So, what are you kids up to? Buying snack? I'm sorry.
I guess him throwing up at the scene of Saki Konichi does well to throw the scent off of him, whether he intends to or not. But the way he acts gets him bantered by Dojima, who makes sure to remind him that he is the second, the number 2 in their relationship. And I'm sure Adachi gets this kind of treatment all over the office. Not necessarily because of everyone else, but because of the way he carries himself. This lack of power due to one's own personal responsibility is what we're supposed to take from this character. One thing about Adachi is that his villainous side has a lot more conviction to it. And if he brought over that conviction into his normal life, he would probably get a lot more respect and treated much better by his peers.
I was supposed to be the best of the best, and instead they stick me in the boonies. But I guess I got the sweet power to make up for it. Life's not so bad after all.
The reason we've honed in on Adachi for this analysis is that he is the central figure in a lot of unfortunate events that take place in Persona 4. He's sort of the reason why everything happens. What's interesting is that the small amounts of power that he receives from discovering the Midnight Channel is enough to get him to commit these evil acts, knowing that it would be quite difficult to catch him. This is not much different from the sense of security one can experience by exploiting the veil of anonymity provided by the internet when cancelling and trolling people online.
The internet, with millions of potential victims and anonymity to hide behind, is a playground for people with sadistic tendencies.
So that might attract people that take pleasure in harming people.
Persona 4 somehow foresaw this societal issue, or at least it presented it in a way that contextualizes the time in which the game was released, back when TV and news were at the forefront of culture.
The scandal involves the Enka star Misuzu Hiragi preparing to tour overseas. Toru Namatame, a council secretary in the Inaba region whom she married just last year, is now under suspicion of having an affair.
Yamano was a television announcer involved in a scandalous affair with City Council Secretary Toru Namatame, the husband of internationally renowned singer Misuzu Hiragi. Now, due to the high profiles of everyone in this case, this love triangle rapidly blows up in the news, eclipsing much of anything else happening at this time. This news story casts a dark shadow in the lives of Yamano and Namatame. One could argue that the media's coverage of this event ultimately results in Mayumi Yamano's death at the hands of none other than Toru Adachi himself. Adachi represents a flavor of silent, observant evil found in every human being, and while his motives for his crimes are relatively weak, this doesn't make him any less of a threat. In fact, I'd argue that the lackluster reasoning behind everything is what makes him extremely dangerous.
Reasons? None, really. I could do it, that's all. And it was fun. I guess that's my reason? Honestly, we don't need our world anymore. Better to let it be swallowed up and for mankind to turn into shadows. That's what all those people who are scared to death really want. So it's my duty to see that they get it.
He's projecting what he wants. This is a tactic you see used a lot in political spin, where someone will try to use a group of people's struggles or shortcomings to justify their own political position. This tactic can also be used to attack people, using the mob as Adachi uses the mindless shadows in this role. It's no different. When we decide to rally in mobs, we should be conscientious that our leaders could be trying to use us for their own gain, or use us in a destructive manner, the same way Adachi tries to use these shadows to bring up the destruction of the world.
Think about it for a second. Once everyone turns into shadows, they'll still keep on living, oblivious to all the things around them. So how's that different from the way it is now? No, this'll make things much easier for everyone.
Easier? What the hell are you talking about?
Come on, how many people out there actually think about what's real or what's right and wrong? Next to none, I bet. It's useless to think about those things in the first place.
The cast of Persona 4 is forced to reflect and face their shadows. And this even goes for the non-playable characters like Dojima and Nanako. No one is free from having to confront themselves in this game. I don't want to sound too far out when I say this, but the Midnight Channel shows the effects of a negative or a positive mental state and how thoughts can actually manifest into a reality either within us or in the real world. To bring it all together, what I learned is the assumptions people make about you, be they vindictive, be they filled with praise, or just an unconscious assumption that someone has made about you. All of these different assumptions are actually a part of you. And instead of fighting them and resisting them, we can take them into ourselves and integrate them and use them to make ourselves more powerful and make the world around us a better place.
Persona!